Welcome to Professor Nefer's English 095 Intensive Review. Title. Authors put a lot of thought into what they name their work. The title tells you a lot about the subject matter, and the title of the exit exam reading has a deeper meaning. It often has a double meaning, one literal and one figurative. Literal. Literal means communicating the basic, obvious subject matter. Figurative. Figurative means communicating the theme, indicating larger meaning, using a small thing to represent a big thing, or simply playing with words. Good fences make good neighbors. Fences separate. Why would having a barrier between neighbors be a good thing? If you get along and trust each other, why do you need a fence? Fences connect. People need boundaries. They need to know where their property, which is what belongs to them, ends, and where our property, which is what belongs to us, begins. It allows us our freedom and privacy. We can decide to invite them onto our property or not. This allows us to communicate more freely and thus understand each other. Fences bring us closer together. Double meaning. This is about relationships and not simply about property and fences. Its meaning is both literal and figurative. What do fences have to do with the exit exam? Well, that's partially for you to figure out. Good fences make good neighbors is a quote from a poem called Mending Wall by Robert Frost. Mending Wall. See the double meaning there? What I just gave you is an analysis. I treated the quote as a title, remembering that the title has meaning and that this meaning relates to the topic, the obvious subject, and to the theme, the larger idea explored in the exit exam reading. When you think about it, the exit exam reading is an essay in which the author is talking about his or her personal experience. The reading is not a standard academic piece because it's written in the first person and makes I statements. It's the author's world on the page. The next step. The exit exam writing prompt asks you to write about an actual experience with a theme similar to the assigned reading. Sometimes the experience is your own, or sometimes it's just something or someone with whom you're familiar. It's your world off the page. It only makes sense that if you're asked to discuss a reading and provide examples, as well as to discuss your own experiences and provide examples, there's a connection between these two things. Once you identify the theme, you've identified the connection. The theme is usually written into the question, and it's indicated in the title. What you do know. Although you won't know the exit exam question in advance, you do know what I've outlined in the slides above. It doesn't matter if you're asked to compare, contrast, to describe, or to illustrate. You know what you know. The topic is not the thesis statement. The topic is the subject. It's not your thesis statement. It's the starting point for your thesis statement. The topic, which is the general subject, is a few words, while your thesis statement is one sentence in which you assert the main idea of the essay. The thesis statement is just a fancy way of saying the main idea. But it's true, the thesis statement is important, and it must appear in your first paragraph. Why? Because it guides your entire essay. The thesis goes in the introduction, usually at the end of it. The first paragraph, of course, is the introduction. In the introductory paragraph of an essay, you must go from the general to the specific. Think of it as an upside-down triangle. Again, from the general to the specific. The introduction gives us background about the topic. So you might start the introduction with one or two general statements and perhaps include one sentence of summary about the reading that you're going to discuss or the film, etc. And of course you want to put the name of the reading and the author too. The introduction is general until you get to the thesis statement, the specific. The thesis statement is the specific part of the introduction that I mentioned earlier. The thesis statement should have the following elements: the topic, plus the reading, plus you. Why? The reader has to be introduced to all of the elements in a general way in the introduction. Details and examples are for the body paragraphs. An introduction with the thesis statement. Here's a real-world example of an introduction. The question is, in Little Mosque on the Prairie, Muslims had to use a church hall for prayers and services, yet they had to hide the fact that they were practicing Islam. Describe a real-life situation where you had to look for acceptance. Compare and contrast it to the TV program. Now, the introduction that I'm going to show you is based on that question. Response. All human beings secretly want to be accepted. Acceptance equals belonging, and belonging means community. Because humans are social animals, we need community. If we're not accepted by a community, then it is difficult to accept ourselves. The Canadian television program Little Mosque on the Prairie, created by Zarqa Nawaz, explores a fight for acceptance on the part of a small group of Muslims in a village called Mercy. Like Rayan, a feminist Muslim character, I had to fight for acceptance in both the larger mainstream community and within my own ethnic community. Like her, I had to accept myself first. Guess which sentence in the introduction is my thesis statement? Think about it. Correct. The thesis statement is, like Rayan, a feminist Muslim character, I had to fight for acceptance in both the larger mainstream community and within my own ethnic community. Like her, I had to accept myself first. There's a formula. The topic plus the reading plus you. In this case, me. Here's a final formula, a kind of template that you can use that'll fit any exit exam essay, pretty much any essay, period. So again, don't worry about whether or not it's going to be compare, contrast, describe, illustrate. Just know that this is a formula that you can use. First paragraph, introduction. Start with a general statement or two, introduce the reading and its author, introduce yourself, and with the thesis statement. If you notice in the introduction that I just showed you, I introduced the me element of it in the thesis statement, and that's fine. I went from the general to the specific. There was a topic, there was a reading, and there was me, the other element of the exam question. So again, take a second look at my previous example and note the transition from the general to the specific in the introduction that I showed you. The key word is transition. The first body paragraph is the second paragraph of the essay, Roman numeral 2 here on the screen. Discuss the reading. Yes, you could discuss your personal experience immediately after the introduction, but don't do that. Why? Because most students neglect the reading. It's very easy, or it's more easy to write about your personal life. It's harder to write about the reading. So get to the hard part first, because the reading is at the center of the whole essay. And everything that you respond to is in relationship to that reading, because it's the essay's theme that you're getting from the essay, right? So the assigned reading has a theme. That theme is what's going to be present in the part of the essay where you write about the assigned reading and the part of the essay where you write about your own experiences. What's tying them together is that you're talking about experiences using examples, and those experiences are around related subject matter, even if you had very different kinds of experiences around the same topic. So again, the second paragraph should be a discussion of the reading. Address a specific event or example from the reading. Don't summarize the reading. Don't tell us what it's all about. That's not necessary. Look at the reading and find one or two moments and then begin from there. So again, discuss the reading by addressing a specific event or example from the reading. And that example has to be related to the thesis statement. Don't summarize. Don't give us a whole paragraph, or God forbid, two, about this is what it's about, and then it was about this, and then the article was about this, because in your essay, you're integrating the reading. You're exploring the reading in relationship to a personal experience. So you're not being asked to tell us what the reading was about. You're being asked to use the assigned reading as evidence. Okay? So also, if you use the author's words word for word, use quotation marks. Third paragraph of the essay, or fourth paragraph, depending on how many paragraphs about the reading you write. Let's say this is going to be a 4-paragraph essay. The first paragraph, Roman numeral 1, was your introduction. The second paragraph, Roman numeral 2, was a paragraph about the reading. And the third paragraph, Roman numeral 3, personal experience, it's about your real-world experience. So again, In the previous body paragraph, you discussed the experience of the author as described on the page in the reading. So in this body paragraph, you discuss something closer to your world, the world off the page. Again, you must provide details/examples from your own perspective using a concrete event in your life. The conclusion, Roman numeral 4. That's where you pull it all together. Remind us of the key points that you made in your essay. These points should relate back to your thesis statement. Everything should relate back to the thesis statement. The thesis statement has to have the elements of topic plus reading plus you. Yes, you must briefly summarize what you wrote previously using different words, but I'd like you to take it one step further. I'd like you to make a lasting impression. What do you want the reader to take away from your essay? Maybe make an observation, tell us a lesson that you learned. What's the moral of the story? Again, it has to relate back to the reading and your thesis statement. So make an impression.